You know, like you cross over and then you're gonna go to, like you're going to Lockwood Memorial Hospital. That's the route that I take every day going to work. And this particular morning, the light changed on green. And it was God coming so fast. And I thought he was gonna stop. And I got like halfway in the middle of the road, and suddenly the spirit, I know the spirit said, just stop, because he never stopped. And if I had kept going, he would have, I could have lost my life, you know, and we don't know. But he never stopped. He kept going when it was like, the green light was on. So those are things that, and I'm sure many more things. But those are things that we got to remember, that God brought us over. So he tells the Israelites, you remember, I'm the one who brought you out of bondage. Okay, that was the beginning of their deliverance. I got you from slavery, of being mistreated and being looked down on. I'm the one who did it. I always remember God declaring that I am the Almighty God. Nobody else can do that but me. And that's what we have to look and see God as, our Almighty God. You know, nobody can do what he do. Nobody can bring us out but him. It's not our jobs, and we gotta get to that part. It's not our jobs. It's God that makes the way. It's God that keeps us moving, and we have to be just like the Israelites. He brought us out of our bondage. You know, we might have not been working with bricks and mortar, beating, whatever that was, but we was in bondage. We was in much, much sin. And God brought us out of sin into his marvelous light. And sometimes it seems like to me, I know only God knows the heart, but sometimes it seems like to me, we forget that sometimes. We actually seem like we forget that sometimes. Because when we think on things like that, and my husband and I was talking about it not too long ago, it just used to be a thought for us. That when we thought on God and his awesome power and his mighty work, we would start praising God. So he's still that same God now. And now we got music and all this stuff to help lift us up. And we still seem like we have a problem that the heaviness of our hands is weighted. And we can't raise our hands in the sanctuary. It seems like there's a heaviness. I'm talking about me too. I'm not talking and pointing my finger at nobody. I'm just saying that if we can just grab hold to who we serving and who we worshiping and remember who God is, it won't be that hard. It really won't be that hard. But now it seems like we weigh it down. It seems like we're trying to push the praise. And I'm gonna tell you, sometimes I be standing right there and I be pushing the praise. It don't seem like I feel it in my spirit. But you know what I always say, God, this praise is for you. Regardless of how I feel, God, this praise is for you. You know? And I know that maybe some of us can't jump around like we used to, but God deserves a praise. God deserves our worship. He really does. Okay. So we just got to remember and think on those things what God did for us. Like I said, he brought the Israelite out of bondage. We got to really remember where was our bondage. What he brought us from. And I'm pretty sure we appreciate it. That we're not living in what we used to live in. You know? So we're gonna have to appreciate that. And you know, act with the joy that God brought us out. Amen. And if I got anything on exit. Okay, I'm in verse 3, right? Okay, where did I go? Okay.
You're right there.
I went there. What I did, I went over, okay, verse 3. Thou shalt have no other God before me. I tell you, it's gonna come out in the lesson. Thou should have no other gods before me. What have we made of God in our life in the place of God? And I was reading yesterday, it said God, he said that thing that has put in the place. Think about this now. I want y'all to think about this. The thing that we have put so important in our life that it takes privilege over God, whatever it is now. That thing that we're going to do every day. That thing that we're going to go after every day. Whatever that thing is in our life. And we gotta go after that with everything that we have. You know? Even when we don't feel like doing it, we're going to do this thing. even if we don't feel like acting on it, we're gonna do this thing. And we're gonna do this thing every day. And then at the end of the day, do we make a place for God? I don't think God should be at the end of our day. He shouldn't be at the end of our day. I think he should be an all-day thing for us. Now, there is something we have to, whether we want to admit it, that we are after more than we are after God. Whether we want to admit it or not. Because you know why? We can see it in our sanctuary, we can see it in our life, we can see it in the community, that if we make God more powerful and over anything else that we're seeking after, if we did that, our churches would be more full, the streets would be more cleaner, things would be happening. So we can't sit here and say that ain't nothing taking a privilege over God, because it is when you think about it. And every time I think, okay, we go to work. We go to work and we should. So can we put an hour before? And I did. I thought about that in my life a few months ago. And I did, but it didn't go long. It didn't work out. No, it didn't work out long, but I did. But could we put that hour before the time for us to go to work, to get in the face of God and pray and worship God? You know, we put him first. We put him first. This is what it is. We put him first. So it said that God should have no other God. No other God besides me. Now, we don't feel like that thing is a God, because we don't want to admit where we are in our life. But I do. I really do. And I don't like it. I'm not happy about it. But I do think about it just like that with me. I tell my husband all the time, I beat myself up. You know, I don't need nobody else to tell me I'm wrong. I know wrong. I know when I'm wrong. I know when I'm not doing it like God wants me to do it. I know this. I'm not walking in denial. But I'm crying out to God and asking him to help me.
Good morning,
I'm
Denise.
asking him to help me to get my priority right. I'm asking God to help me. I'm not saying that I'm walking on a sinful life. But I'm saying, is God taking privilege over everything else in my life? And this is a question that we need to ask ourselves. And don't just ask ourselves. We got to do it. We got to answer ourselves, right? We got to answer ourselves. And this lesson ain't to beat us up, it's just to help us think. That's all. It's to help us think. Because all these lessons that we have, it's going to help us. This is our instruction. This is our instruction. You know, just like when you go bake a cake, you got to use the right ingredients. The baby cake, like I said, tell people all the time, I bake cakes, but it's not my business or anything, but I do bake them every once in a while just for the kids, my husband and the kids. But to bake a cake, there are some cakes, it calls for a certain butter. You got to use that butter. But that's what the recipe calls for. I'm serious. It can actually mess your cake up. I tried making Philadelphia cream cheesecake one time with the Great Value butter. It wasn't the same. Because it said what kind of butter to use. But I'm gonna take the shortcut. And that's what we do with our life. We always take the shortcut and throw something else in there and think God's supposed to accept it. But these instructions is for us to go, just think about it. If we did what the Bible said do, how awesome and powerful would this world look if we actually did what the Bible said do? But what we're trying to do is take out some parts of it and lay some parts to the side and think they're going to fit in the puzzle. But it won't fit in the puzzle. And that's what we got to realize. That there's not going to be no other God besides God and anything else that we are running after is dead weight to us. That's all. We just put in dead weight. We're going to have to make God first choice in our life, because he said, that is one of the commandments, thou shalt have no other God besides me. And no, I'm not saying that we got to walk around sad and bitter. That's where the joy coming in. We think if we just only serve God and made him first, when is our happiness coming in our life? But that is the happiness and joy in our life, because guess what? He's gonna then order our every step. And God is about giving us good things. What Jeremiah 29:11 said, I know the thoughts. I know the thoughts that I have towards you. They are good. They're not evil. And they bring a good end. But some of us ending up bad because we keep on trying to do it for ourselves. We can handle it for God. And that's the prayer that we want to pray. That God help me to make you first in my life. Because we out of bondage. Once we make God first in our life, we out of bondage. Everything else the devil tell you, he's lying to you. Because if we make God first, we are out of bondage. We no longer slaves, but we make ourselves a slave because we feel like we can't live up to what God asking us to do.
Why, I know you said you was gonna explain it, but, why do you think God saw fit to, create these set of rule of laws for the children as they came out? I mean, and I'm just understanding that he said you should have no other gods, even though we know that's a lowercase g. There's only one, we know there's only one God.
Great God, yeah.
He's talking that you should have no other gods before him, or pretty much put anything before him.
Right.
And why is God establishing these laws for the children of Israel as they come out of, they just came out of bondage, as they just came out of slavery, I know you said you was gonna explain it, so.
Yeah, the reason why God did this, because that was gonna be the new beginning. This Exodus is mean going out, okay? So it means exiting from, they exit out of this bondage. And so what they had to do is know then what would they do next. So God had to give them, lay out a rule for them. This is what you're gonna do next. Because in verse 1, he said, always remember that I'm the one that did this, okay? And then he said, after you remember, then you don't put no other God before me. So he making a way for them and giving them a foundation and how they should live. And it wasn't only for them, it's for the generations and generations to come. You see what I'm saying? So what God did, okay, I brought them out. These people don't know what to do. They had no knowledge. And so they don't know what to do. So I done brought them out of there. Because you would find out maybe, I don't think it might not be in this book, I don't know. But you would find out later when they did came out, and God had them and bringing them through the wilderness, they start complaining. You see what I'm saying? So that's why God said, I'm establishing you and giving you something to live by. I'm giving you the law that you're going to live by. And if you live by this, it's going to all work out good. So what they were coming from a world that they were used to, even though they was in slavery and in bondage. As soon as they hit a rock, we're going to go back. Because we're not familiar with it.
Well, and going along with what you're saying, you have to realize that those people that came out of Egypt, they knew no other life except that of a slave.
Right.
That's right.
And it kind of goes along with the phrase that if you want something you've never had, you got to do something you've never done.
Right.
So God sets the standard and says, okay, I know you've been living this way because it's all you know.
Right.
Now it's time to change the future by changing the now.
Exactly. Exactly.
And he also knew that if he didn't establish something for them to follow, they would just fall back into where they were.
Right.
And that's like even when you have a habit that you recognize is harming you, unless it becomes replaced with something else that you can do.
Right.
You slowly fall back into that.
Right.
Because you don't have anything that brings you forward.
Right. Amen. So this is why it was established. Because if God had established that law, they wouldn't know what to do. And they would have they would have did some things then that wasn't fitting for God.
Yeah.
But they could say, well, God, you never told. You never showed. So God got to erase all of that.
But I look at it so relatable, even to us and how we're living now. Like, we're not going to stay in the same place, and we're looking in the world, knowledge is increasing, and God knows the manipulation. He has all knowledge. So He knows there was going to come a time that people were going to use that same gift of knowledge He given us
Mhm.
and go out of bound. So God is a God of order. He already set a structure for
Yeah.
His chosen
Right.
people.
Right.
I think that's so important when we look at these stories. It's like I look at it just like as if it's me, you know, with what I'm going through in life, or maybe I'm at a certain juncture in my life, and at this time, you know, I'm going through this and I didn't understand, and God gave me knowledge and a rule of how to move forward, you know.
Amen. So this is, your question is answered, I'm sure, right? Don't you?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can answer, but, by now, you know, but, that's what we're gonna really have to do, and that's why he gave these rules and these laws, because right now, we got rules where we got, see,
It kind of reminds me of, I was listening to Priscilla Schreier this week, and it's kind of remind me of what she was saying is how we will ask God to take all of us and clean us all up, but I think sometimes we just say, no, not this part, not this part.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we have to be willing to let God just work on us, and then we can don't be in bondage, because I think we keep ourselves in bondage, because we won't give it all to God, we try to hold on to it. We want to hold on to,
Right.
you know, what we want to have.
amen, and that's the thing that usually hurt us, is the thing we wanna hold on to. It's most of the time, that's the thing we want, that really hurting us, cause we don't wanna let that go. Like, you know, sometimes, it's named quite a few things out, and I call myself, mark them out, that we have put in the place of God and used, you know, as a idol, but we don't know that they're idols. Like, some parents got children now that ready to move on with their life. They don't want to really let them go. You stay with me. I was there one time, man. I get there. I ain't want to let that baby go. Ooh, my God, and cried. And then still, cause when the older ones had left, I felt like cause I got a group of kids that, like, when 10 years different when y'all, you're in the 20s, right? So, you know, so it's a big difference, yeah. And my older kids, they seemed like they were steady. You know, when they wanted to move out, they seemed like they were steady. But it seemed like those last three wasn't maturing like that, you know? And I don't know, could be me. I had got older. Yeah, that's probably what it was. I don't know what it is. I can't even explain it. And then, like I said, when the baby boy left, then you know you got an empty net. And you weren't used to empty net in years. And so I was like boo-hoo and crying when he left. And then it was the way he left, because they called him on a job that we had took him to put in for. And they called me, they went out of town after we took him to put him for this job of being a cop in Virginia. And so he got the job. And so we was out of town. And so he called us and said, Mom, I got this job. I got the job in Virginia. And he said, but the thing is, I got to leave now. So we on our way back home. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't see my baby home. And I said, no, tell him to wait till we get there. He said, Mom, I can't. He said, because the academy is gonna start, you know, soon, and I got to get there. And I'm just saying, I cried the whole while coming back. I was crying the whole while coming back this morning, you know, and I was just crying. And then so got back home, his room was empty. And I was passing by the room, and because I know that was it, one of more kids. There wasn't no more kids. And I was crying. And so one day my husband said, okay, I'm gonna close this door. I'm gonna close this door and no open it. So he ain't coming back like that no more, you know? So, so it's something that we actually have put our idols, and we don't want to accept it that it is, you know? Like, they didn't name a list of things. Everybody can see it in the explanation of the lesson. But it was a lot of things that the lesson brought out that man has put in the place of God. And this word here is down in, you might not be there, but verse 3, and thou shalt have no other God before me. That means one God, nothing else. So there's nothing else to touch God, okay? So there's nothing else that we can do that can equal with God, because he is God. And the God just wants us to always remember that. And always keep that in mind. And if we keep that in mind and always remember that, honestly, we would come to put God first in our life. If we keep that in mind, that no other God, like it said, like Tony said, they use G-O-D-S, which is a lowercase g, and that's what he's saying, that don't put the trash before me. In plain words, don't put the trash before me, because there ain't never trash. And don't put that trash before me, you know? So, okay, we gotta go to verse 4. Thou should not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, that it in the waters under the earth. Now, is that plain? That's very plain, that thou should not make unto thee, because you know they made a golden image. Just because Moses was gone for a few minutes, I'm gonna say a few minutes, but just because Moses was gone for a little while, they didn't know what else to do, even though they was being instructed by Moses what to do. What they do, they make them a god, G-O-D-S. They make them a god. So if we ain't serving God, okay, Tony, I see you. If we're not serving God, and we don't have God first, it's something gonna be first in our life.
Yeah.
And we got to look into our life and see what is that first. That's what we're gonna have to do, just look in our life and see what is first, because if God not first, something is first. Tony.
Yeah, it's just something how our lesson last week spoke about identity, you know, and now we're talking about this here, and you know, having no graven image, and the thing about it is, we as people, God created us. We were created to worship something, and these people was, I think they was trying to resurrect, make these graven images to worship them. You know, and make these different idols to worship them, you know, and I think, going back to, I think that's why God is establishing these laws, because he knew that he created us to worship him and
Right.
him only,
Right.
nothing else.
Right.
So nothing else should have our attention. We know that sometimes we get sidetracked by different, especially now that we have social media and everything else that can distract us.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, who's to say that that's not a giant graven image, social
Yeah.
media, you
Yeah.
know?
It is. I mean, it definitely is. Oh.
And the establishment here is, and we do it all the time today, but what he's establishing is you worship the creator, you don't worship the created. And right now, any God that is not God, any small letter G God, is something that we're worshiping the created. Because of course, as human beings, we can't create, but as opposed to the creator, it's a line, it's a very established line. You can figure it out at any point. Let's see, is it the creator or is it the created?
Yeah, right,
Creator's own, you know, it's easy
Right.
to, we don't think it through that way,
right.
but we're so busy worshiping the created that we totally dismiss the fact, as you said, even in the prayer this morning, you know, the things that are here are because he's allowed them to be here.
Right.
Not because we have this big, even the electricity, not because we're so amazing, you
Yeah.
know, it's because he's allowed it. And
Yeah.
as soon as we drop from worshiping the creator,
Mhm.
anything else
Yeah.
is the created, and it's
Yeah.
wrong.
You know, right. Back in the day when we first got saved, and we started going over to the institute, the Bible Institute in Buffalo, and we was taught that certain things that we have in our household, that we don't know that carry foul spirit. And then one girl that she knew she was demon possessed. I don't know if you remember, Pastor, but this girl, she came to church, and she knew that she was dealing with spirits, because she practiced witchcraft. And she was telling us that once she felt more stable, I guess that's short word, that the Pokemon, you know, that she gave a history of it, but how, you know, it was designed for them. It was designed to get the kids caught up in it. Yeah, and then I read up on the Hello Kitty. It'd be innocent things that we think innocent, and little mild things sometimes that we attach ourselves to. And I know I'm not talking spooky stuff. I'm just saying, like the picture of Jesus Christ. Some people actually go to that picture and pray. They really do. But that's not Jesus Christ. That's
Mary
an image. You would think so, right?
and Mary
That's an image.
and Mary.
Yes.
A lot of people do the Mary thing, and I don't get that.
Yeah, right. So you got people with the picture, the supposed to be picture of Jesus Christ hanging in the house. And honestly, I know what I'm talking about. They pray to it.
A lot of
And, you know,
people.
that's an image.
St. Anthony, St. Joseph.
Yeah, all of that. And they really think they right
Yep,
though.
yep.
So this stuff here, you know, we walk thin lines and we don't realize we walk thin lines. Like I read up on the Hello Kitty, and it said that the Hello Kitty don't have a mouth. No praise can come from that. And they was talking about don't let the kids. So, like I said, we can get spooky with a whole lot of different things, but I'm just saying there's some things that we think is really innocent and don't mean nothing. There's some things that can cause havoc in our life if we take it too far. So it said, don't worship nothing. You don't worship nothing but God. That's all we worship. We don't have to put nothing else before us. Like some of those people, what you call it, you might know what they call it. Some of those people love to light all those candles before they pray. What that mean? What that mean? Why do you have to do that? And I know people who did that. Why you do that? That don't mean anything. So what we do, we just got to know in our life that everything that made, we don't have to participate in. You know what I'm saying? Everything that man made, we don't have to participate in. Because everything is made is not good for us.
And it's so easy to know why there would only be one God, because if one God is omnipotent and omnipresent and everything, you don't need another God, because as soon as you limit God because you say you need another one, you now don't have the perfect God. You don't have someone that is, or you don't have a being that's omnipotent and omnipresent you don't. As soon as you establish that that's what God is, there's no need for two.
Yeah.
No need for three.
Right.
You don't need to throw personalities out and then establish there's one.
One
There's
God.
no need for
One
more
God.
than one.
One
And
God.
it's very easy to understand that.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you even have to have an argument about, well, this guy doesn't, no, there is no need.
Right.
Because that one covers everything,
Right.
And as soon as you try to put other gods in, now you're taking on personality traits of human beings.
Yeah.
And human beings are limited.
Right.
And if we can't worship an unlimited God, what is the point?
Right.
We have to have something that's unlimited, because it's gotta be above our thoughts, beyond what we can imagine.
Yeah.
Or else we can control it.
Right. And I think a lot of times these people do these things here because they don't know the word. And I think it was Pastor was talking a couple of weeks in the Bible study or whatever. It was talking about sage. People burn sage, I think. I don't really know what they're for, but I do know they burn
Drive away
it.
spirits.
Yeah.
The drive away
That's right.
spirits.
Yeah, drive away spirits.
Now, that ain't gonna drive away no spirit.
Welcome them.
But see, I don't know what they got into the man's head. They think that they can put all this stuff before God. And
But I feel like there's reasons around it. One of them is, I would say one of the biggest reasons is lack of knowledge. Because sometimes people see these things, it looks good, it's promoted good, it's told in a different way, you're educated with it. These people that are advertising it, they're beautiful personalities, they present themselves good. I'm telling you, the enemy is subtle.
Yeah.
And you, to your point of the cartoon or whatever that's called or whatever, I feel like even some of these things are subtly created
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
Because if the enemy gonna work, sometimes he's not gonna come with a horn and a thing on his head to say, I'm the enemy. No, he must come in a subtle way.
Yeah.
Something that seems, you can accept it. Something that it's not harming anybody, but it's indoctrinating you, or it's repeating curses in your ear gate, or because there's so much things with our kids now. That's why you can't even turn on the TV now and don't get a mess. You just can't.
Right.
Parents have to monitor all that now.
They sure do. They sure do. And that's why I just don't agree with just training these kids over to those standards. Just to give yourself a break. Because the kids are smarter than what you think.
Mm-hmm.
You think that they might be looking at, I don't know what the famous cartoon is nowadays, because I don't have kids. But you think they might be looking at that. But those kids have moved over into something else.
Uh-huh.
They really have. They have moved over into something else because they're smart. They are very smart. And they know how to do it. And they know how to pull a trick on you.
Uh-huh.
They do. Don't think they don't know how to trick you, because they do.
Yes, they
And
do.
this is what's happening.
Yes,
to
they
these
do.
Kids, because they're not being, someone and I was talking this other day, we read another scripture, but somebody and I was talking the other day that, okay, all this school shooting and all this stuff going on because we got to a place we couldn't chastise our kids. Now, I realize a lot of us are really
Yep.
hard on our kids, though. A lot of us children tore them up. Maybe I'm not gonna say we had to do that. But we got to discipline these kids. The parents nowadays are actually letting the kids do anything, and they let them do whatever they wanna do. They will fight back and forth and tell them they can't do it, but guess what, that's why the child wins. I've seen it happen. They would say, you ain't gonna do it, but at the end, the child wins. You know, but in our day, we say you're not gonna do it, you're not gonna do it. You know, we said you're not going there, you're not going there. I mean, that's what we did, if you went there, you slipped out, you tipped out, but we didn't know nothing about it. You know, so what I'm saying is, all this stuff happening now, because, and all these conspiracies coming into our kids, because we don't know where they are, and we're doing things in front of our kids, and young people are doing things in front of their kids, and don't think these kids are taking it in, but they are. And that's why you're gonna see, we might not get down to that part that's talking about the generations of sin that are gonna be passed down, you know? So what I'm saying is, we, and then even grandparents, what you can do, help. I know we're tired, and we feel like we got a responsibility, but what we can do is say to our younger kids, and they will listen to us, help. Because I'm telling you, this stuff happening because no training, no teaching.
Yep.
And there's things that these kids
Yep.
are attaching themselves to, got bad spirits. It got to be a bad spirit for a 14-year-old to get around and go shoot up people,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yep. 11-year-old too.
And okay, I'm sorry.
As you're talking about children, and this is something I was reading about, in the past 40 years, we have medicated children. And people don't, and I used to work with troubled kids, and they would be on Adderall, and they would be on Ritalin, and those
Yeah.
things, and you talk to them, and they were like, I don't feel like myself.
Mm.
Because they're mind-altering drugs,
Mhm.
and mind-altering drugs is a form of witchcraft.
Yep.
And people say, well, it's medically necessary. I mean, some it's medically necessary. I mean, there's people, I'm not against medicine.
Right.
I want off the bat. There's people that take medicines for depression and anxiety. Sometimes it's just a chemical imbalance. It ain't no demonic spirit. But people that put their kids on these drugs because I don't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
So it turns kids into almost semi-zombies.
Yeah.
These kids will be on these drugs and they'll just be zoned out, and they
Yeah.
hate the way, and so
And they hate
I've
the
watched
way they
kids fighting the way they feel. I don't want to feel like
Yeah.
this, so they act out.
Right,
And to me, it's just a door that's open.
it is.
I don't know, when I was growing up, kids wasn't ADHD, they was just bad.
Yeah.
They was just bad. They need-
Right.
But I think that we need to be cautious, even as adults.
Mhm.
Drug addiction, a lot of it, and I'm gonna say drug addiction, and I wanna be careful as I say this, is a form of witchcraft.
Yeah,
If you look at the effects of it.
right, right,
People, no little kid woke up and said, I wanna be a drug addict one day.
right,
But things going on in your life and you're looking for answers.
right,
We know God is the answer, but somebody says, I will go to another God
yeah,
and find an answer.
Yeah.
And therefore it became, we've legalized marijuana,
right,
which we've taken the stigma off of it and allowing people to enter into those
Yeah.
realms. And when you talk to people that, smoking marijuana is a religion in some cultures.
Mhm.
It's how they connect with the spirit world.
Mhm.
One of the things that's drawing, especially in the Afro-Caribbean community, people are returning back to African spiritualism,
yeah,
which means calling on your ancestors
Yeah.
and doing those type of
Yeah.
things. That's still witchcraft.
witchcraft,
I love my grandmother, but she ain't speaking to me from the
I
dead.
know that,
If somebody is speaking to you from the dead, it ain't them.
right,
It's not.
Your mama is not coming to talk to you in your dreams and encourage you. If something is speaking to you from the
Yeah.
dead, it is a demon.
Mm-hmm.
right,
And we all know the story of Saul,
yeah,
witch
Yep.
of Endor.
yeah,
He went looking for a witch, and that witch gave him a word from God.
yeah,
And so we just have to be careful of what we open doors to. A lot of people don't believe I would never bow down to an image, but you could open up yourself,
right,
and there's a lot of images
yes, that's
out
right,
there.
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Now we're turning politics into religion
Mhm.
because we're blending them together.
Yeah,
That's why in this church, we're gonna stay far apart from it. If it bothers you, find another church. We ain't going into politics. We
yeah,
can go into ideas.
yeah,
I got ideas. I got moral code, I got those things. That ain't got nothing to do with politics, those are my beliefs.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
when people start getting up there, getting into the depth of politics,
yeah,
where, you know, I've listened to people when they speak about certain people.
They already talked
it's
about
like,
that, Rich. They mentioned it
That's
earlier. You
dangerous.
missed it.
That's dangerous,
Yeah.
because every politician out there, I don't care how much, look, is a failed man or a failed woman. They are
Yes.
failed, they are
Yes.
flawed, they are
Yes.
messed up.
yeah.
So I think we have to be careful. Well, anybody saying they gonna come in and change the country, they lying. Oh, that's it. Anybody says, I'm gonna change this, no, you're not.
It won't happen.
You ain't nobody coming in, we ain't had it yet where a president came in and changed the economy.
It won't.
There is a whole spirit world that's involved in that.
They mentioned about worshiping false images.
Hollywood is a whole spirit that controls that. Sports, it's a whole God that controls
That's
that.
the truth.
Today is the first day of church.
That's the truth.
Today
That's
is the first
the
day
truth.
of all church. It's church. They gonna go
That's
and
the
worship.
truth.
They gonna gather. It
Hello.
don't matter how cold it is, how rainy it is.
That's the truth.
We get the sniffles and stay home from church.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
We got blizzards indoors. We're gonna be out there showing that
Yeah.
snow. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
we have to worry about
yeah.
the little gods, because it's the little gods
That's
that the
right.
enemy attacks.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And that's what I say too, with the smaller things that we don't think nothing wrong with. That's the thing you better check on. I'm serious, because there's something wrong with it. Because what it does, it might come in and small, but when it end, you pick it up and rolling and rolling and rolling, it picking up more and more and more dust. And when you know anything, you caught up into something that only God can get you out of, because you done changed your mind. You know, like I looked at, I be on TikTok sometimes, and I see that these people be on there talking about cards reading. And I just looked over to see the following. How many thousands of people just following this? And these people can't tell you what's going on in your life and what's gonna happen in your life. And I was like, Lord, have mercy. I mean, I didn't even take the time out to see what she was saying. I just really wanted to see the following. How people follow stuff. They follow stuff. And they're doing it ignorantly. Because you know why? They won't come to that place where they can learn. You know, you can't really say that they're innocent and don't know, but if they're just ignorant and don't know, because it's available to them for them to come and learn. I think pretty much everybody out there done heard the word and know about the Bible by now. I think they do, but what you choose to do, you know, in your life, what you choose to make that God. So,
Studying and learning doesn't sound attractive,
yeah,
but, having something instantaneously sounds very
Yeah.
attractive.
right. And we just don't know once we get in the word, and God speak a new word to us, a new meaning, a new life. We'd be so excited, we'd be so full and joyful, you know, but we gotta get in here. We gotta get in here for that to happen. But once you start studying your word, I don't care who you are,